Heavily influenced by both the Russian AKM as well as Finland's RK-62, the Galil SAR was Israel's attempt to have their cake and, well, eat it too. Combining the fast, light projectiles and aperture-style sights favored by Western militaries with the rugged, high-tolerance, long-stroke piston operation of the East's favorite lead slinger. Essentially, the Galil was designed to be a westernized upgrade of the Soviet weapon of choice. In reality, the Galil SAR, while a solid design, is more of a horizontal upgrade than a true vertical one. And really, this is unfortunate because many of the features of that rifle truly do improve upon the AKM's original design. But the original Galil's reliance on a milled receiver combined with the use of steel and wood really hold it back from becoming the lightweight, perfect fighting rifle it was meant to be. Evidently, the engineers at IWI agreed with me, and in 2008 began production of a new ultra-lightweight Galil, the Galil Ace, one that was modified and honed with more than 3 decades of combat experience. The Galil Ace, or GAR-1639, is a civilian version of a select-fire Ace-32, meaning it's chambered in the Russian 7.62x39 cartridge. The Ace might look futuristic, but under the hood, its use of a long-stroke piston action betrays its Kalashnikov heritage. The Ace feeds from standard AKM magazines and includes 2 Magpul AKP mags in the box. Now this magazine choice is brilliant, especially for the 7.62x39 cartridge. Why? Well, it's one of the most underrated yet critical components to the AK's legendary reliability. And while the Ace utilizes standard AK mags, it isn't compatible with all of them. This is because of the polymer magazine well that surrounds and protects the steel one integral to the receiver. Basically, the Ace can't readily use any magazine with a thick collar, like the Tapco Intrafuse magazines, Bulgarian Circle 10 magazines, or magazines from US Palm. Now, using a hand file, I was able to at least modify Tapco magazines to fit the Ace in about 5 minutes. Doing so did not adversely affect their ability to fit standard AKs, nor did it impact their reliability. Lastly, the AK drum magazines also don't fit the Ace, not because of the big collar, but rather because the drum sits so close to the neck of the magazine that the polymer collar will actually impede the magazine from fully locking in. But of course, if a shooter so desired, they could remove the collar with either a Dremel or a hand file, but doing so would presumably make reselling the gun somewhat difficult. Now, if you're wondering why the polymer magwell extension exists in the first place, it appears to be designed to facilitate more positive reload. Anyone who has ever reloaded an AK under stress can attest to the fact that it's possible to screw up a reload as simple as an AK by either over or under inserting a magazine while trying to rock it back in place. And it's a neat idea and one that holds merit, given the fact that even the Russian company Molot incorporates polymer magwells onto their Vepr shotguns and competition AKs. But the Galil isn't simply an AK with a magwell bolted onto it. It's a westernized take on the Kalashnikov design philosophy, one complete with all the luxuries we filthy capitalists have come to expect on modern rifles. For instance, the Ace features an ambidextrous safety selector that a shooter can use without shifting the shooting hand's grip. Another Western favorite is the rifle's use of aperture-style sights, the rear of which is adjustable for windage, while the front sight that sits atop the ported, self-regulating gas tube is adjustable for elevation. If this front sight setup looks familiar, it should. It bears more than a passing resemblance to a standard AR-15 front sight, albeit a more beefed up one, designed to allow the use of a 7.62x39 cartridge to adjust its elevation. Now, between these sights, the Ace features a full-length Picatinny optics rail. It's 2-piece and runs along the gas tube and across the dust cover. Yes, the Ace utilizes a dust cover similar to the AK, but it uses a rounded dovetail-like cut in the attached rail segment in addition to the recoil spring guide to keep it secured to the receiver. Now, behind this rear rail segment and dust cover, the Ace features a modified version of the original Galil's folding stock mechanism. Like the original, the Ace's hinge is damn near bomb-proof. Unlike the original Galil, the Ace features a telescopic, adjustable polymer stock in lieu of the original gun's non-adjustable stamped steel one. Lastly, the biggest difference between the original's stock hinge and the new Ace one is the Ace is basically skeletonized to reduce weight. Now, the stock is adjustable to 6 different lengths, from the shortest being smaller than a Soviet AKM stock to the longest, which surpasses the length of even an M16A2's fixed stock. Plus, the stock includes 3 cuts that permit mounting of an included cheek riser. Now this is a welcomed addition because the Ace's irons and rail aren't as high above the stock's comb as they are on either an AR and M4. Consequently, optics designed for either of these Western rifles tend to sit a little too high to properly use without said riser, forcing shooters into the dreaded AK chin weld. Now below this stock assembly, the Ace features a polymer pistol grip that is built into the combination trigger guard, pistol grip, magazine well weird hybrid. The grip itself is comfortable, if a little slick, and sports a storage compartment inside of it for storing either batteries or a spare bullet or whatnot. And while it's a good design, it doesn't really lend itself to modularity. Any company looking to build an alternative pistol grip for the Ace will have to integrate a trigger guard into the design at the very least. But the Galil isn't a platform on which to build a better rifle, it's supposed to be that rifle in the first place, which is part of the reason why the Ace doesn't just include a full-length optics rail, but also 3 accessory rails on its handguard at the 90, 180, and 270 degree positions. These rails are built from high-impact, dense polymer and feature the same slide-on and snap-in-place covers as the X95. They're a nice balance of durability and weight, but I would have preferred aluminum handguards at the cost of a few extra ounces just to better resist damage from heat. Now the charging handle is rock solid and features aggressive knurling to give shooters better purchase on it when charging the action. The action is stupid smooth. It reminds me of pulling a charging handle on a very well used milled AK-47. It just glides like it's covered in Crisco and butter sliding across a hot skillet. This makes quickly charging the action laughably easy, even with your weak hand or your weak hand's pinky finger. Now another smooth feature is the magazine release, possibly because it's longer than standard AK latches and has more leverage, but it's very easy to actuate with one finger. Now it's not necessarily a critical design feature, but it's still a nice addition. But enough drooling over the rifle and filleting its features, how did it actually perform? Well, see, I've fired about 350 rounds through the Galil Ace Carbine since receiving it from my FFL. I left the factory oil on the rifle and have not cleaned it at all. In that time, I've experienced 2 malfunctions, both on the same magazine during the first 50 rounds fired through the gun and with a Silencer Co. Saker 7.62 suppressor attached to the rifle. In both cases, the round nosedived under the feeding ramp, but was easily cleared by recharging the action. Unsuppressed, the Galil Ace ran without any malfunction, and the 2 jams became a distant memory after running the gun a few hundred rounds without issue. After shooting the majority of these rounds through the gun, I revisited the issue by running it again with a can. The result? I couldn't recreate the original malfunction with either a Silencer Co. 7.62 can or an Innovative Arms 30 caliber can. Now on a side note, running the Ace suppressed produced noticeably more recoil from the gun, presumably because of the increase in back pressure. Conversely, running it with an aggressive brake like the Silencer Co. ASR 30 cal brake resulted in laughably feeble amounts of felt recoil, almost like a 300 blackout out of a full-sized AR. That said, the included 2-piece flash hider brake combo worked pretty well, but aftermarket options are more effective, though vastly louder. Accuracy from the Ace was solid with all brands of ammunition tested and remarkable with a select few, though on average the Ace appeared to be a slightly sub-2 MOA gun. This mirrored the results of my less scientific testing of shooting at 4-inch steel targets at 125 yards crouched, where the only misses of the day were done unsupported. Ultimately, the Galil's latest iteration improves upon virtually every lackluster aspect of the original Galil, itself a formidable rifle, making it an objectively better rifle than its predecessor. I mean, what about an AK though? A standard AK fills the same role as the 7.62x39 Ace rifle for less than half the cost. Well, the Ace's fire control ergonomics are objectively better, as are the Ace's compatibility with optics. Personally, I like the irons on the Ace better than an AK, and the Galil's use of a standardized Western thread pitch means that I can mount sound suppressors with ease and without the use of an adapter. Accuracy with the Ace was better than most AKs are capable of, so is the Ace actually worth the extra money over a standard AK? At the risk of giving you a non-answer, yes and no. Well, if you're the kind of shooter who intends to plink at basically 50 yards, never measuring groups, or even attempting tricky shots on smaller targets with your little inexpensive AK, the Galil Ace probably isn't worth the steep jump in price. Now on the other hand, if you want quicker reloads, more generous sights, or simply to mount a suppressor, the Ace is a vast improvement over the traditional AK or AKM. Now personally, after owning dozens of AKs, If I wasn't interested in their history and was simply looking for the best platform to fire 7.62x39 rounds from a die-hard reliable, inexpensive magazines with all the ergonomics I'm used to as an AR runner, it would have to be the Ace. It'd be a no-brainer. Now, while an AK could be upgraded to compete with all of the Ace's performance basically, like modularity and ergonomics, doing so would cost around the same amount of money as the Ace's baseline MSRP. Now, whether or not the Ace is a good buy for you largely depends on your budget and what you define as worthwhile. So if it's something you've always wanted, I'd say go for it. You won't be let down by the gun's performance, fit, or finish. Thanks, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, what's that last one? Subscribe for more Burst Review. Thanks.